Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Boat Trader, and today we're going to walk through this 59-foot houseboat built by Fun Country up in Muncie, Indiana, and shipped down here to Lake Powell where it's living its life out as a houseboat rental. But if you're in the market for a new or a used houseboat, this video should give you an idea of some of the most important key features that you're going to want on board and some other things to consider. So hop on board and let's check it out. All right guys, starting here on the bow. Right now we're beached, so we're pulled right up to the shore. And that's popular activity here in Lake Powell. That's really what people do with these houseboats. So this is an all aluminum houseboat. It's a little bit better for coming in and rubbing up against the rocks and the sand. Think about if you're in the market for a houseboat, do you want a fiberglass or an aluminum houseboat? How are you going to be using it? This one's perfect for this area. You have a gate right here. You can easily hop off the swim ladder. And traditionally people are putting out 4 anchors here. So this is a great gated bow area, so it's safe to ride in while you're underway. And you may notice as we go through this video, it's a little bit messy because we've been living on this boat for the past week, filming an episode of our show, Stomping Grounds. However, that way you can get a good idea of what life is like aboard. You have to have a grill, right? Absolutely, that's a big part of living on a houseboat, grilling out here. There's one upstairs too, but we have this one here. You got a propane tank and it's super easy to start up. And then we also have this kind of quick staging area for our coolers, and they can open that. And some of these houseboats come with a ramp, so you may want to consider that too, finding a model with a ramp so you can easily wheel the cooler off. Let's take a step inside and we'll learn a little bit more about this boat. The helm is really the nerve center of any houseboat. So you have all your switches here, all of your breakers, and all of your gauges. You got your VHF radio, your navigation station. You know, one thing that's really important on houseboats is that you have all the gauges and they're all working properly. For example, this is a live-aboard boat, right? So you want to have freshwater capacity gauge so you know how much you have left and where you're at, and you also want to be able to see your fuel tank and how much range you have. So this boat is actually, this one doesn't have a freshwater gauge, so that's been kind of a problem. We're just sort of guessing. We know we have 400-gallon capacity on board, which is pretty good. That's enough for 6 or 7 people for a few days. You know, you can take quick Navy showers, they call them. This has an 18-gallon hot water tank. If you want longer showers, you're gonna have to go with something more like 30, 60, but this is sort of typical on these house rental boats. So on a houseboat, if you're gonna be moving the houseboat, it's very important to know how much range you have, as with any boat, but here on Lake Powell, you can go 80, 100 miles up into the lake. So you need to know you have enough gas to get back, of course. This boat has a 265-gallon fuel tank. It's powered by twin Evinrude E-Tech 200 outboards. They're underneath and you can access them by lifting up the bulkheads. The fuel burn on those, we've been getting about 5 to 6 gallons per hour, cruising at about 6 knots. So it's pretty efficient. If you bumped it up higher than that and you want to keep an eye on your RPMs, you know, we've been cruising under 3,000 RPMs. If you pump up to 5,000 RPMs, you're going to be burning a lot more gas. So that's a careful consideration when you're motoring around in your houseboat. Other things that you'll want to look for on the helm if you're in the market, make sure your houseboat has a good sound system, right? These are all about entertaining and living aboard, so it's nice to have that. You got to have the Bluetooth. You can see everybody's got their phones charging here. You're going to want to run off the generator when the engines aren't running. And in this case, we can switch between the inverter and the generator. Right here from the helm, we can power up any outlets that we need to. And in this case, we're cycling every 2 hours, so 2 hours charging, then we pump the generator back on, 2 hours on the generator, and that basically keeps us going until we run out of gas. This boat has a shared fuel tank, so the engines run off the same tank as the generator. Some boats have a separate tank, really your preference, but it is kind of nice to have them all run off one. Let's move into the main salon here and we'll talk about the living area. This is the main living area and entertaining space on board. We do have a beautiful upper deck Flybridge that we use as well, but you know, breakfast in here, you've got your TV screen up here, nice couch on the port side, great lounger, and key to any houseboat, you gotta have a really nice galley. This boat has a full-size refrigerator, full-size stove and oven, range top, 4 burners, you got your microwave, and plenty of storage for fresh water as well. We brought all of our water on board. We do have a 400-gallon capacity freshwater system, but that is for showering and hand washing and brushing your teeth and stuff. So all of our drinking water we did bring on board. You may consider, if you're buying a houseboat, how you're using it. If you want to get a Watermaker, a lot of people want those on board, especially if they're doing longer range cruising. This one does not have that feature. You can see there's a really nice dining room. It's been used for production this week, so we got some equipment and gear here. Again, you'll see how people live on board these houseboats. I think, a little bit about the boat. It is a 59-foot boat. Like I mentioned, all aluminum structure. It's a 15-foot beam, so it's nice and wide, and then plenty of light. So this houseboat has windows basically the full length, and they slide open. That's really nice. Also, you want to consider the heat out here. Is it hot where you're using a houseboat, and do you have air conditioning? This boat does have a really nice air conditioning system, and you can run it off the generator so you stay nice and cool when it gets hot. And if you don't need it, you will open up the windows and you get that nice cross breeze. All right guys, so taking a look at the living space here, this is one of the queen beds, and all of the living accommodations, all of the sleeping berths are on the port side. Moving back, you have your double bunk here. So again, forgive a little bit of a mess here, but these are the beds we've been sleeping on all week, and it's been very comfortable. And then the other bedroom, which we'll take a look at in one moment, is back there, but these are the heads on board. I think it's really important to make sure on a houseboat, especially if you're gonna have a number of people living in the space, make sure you have 2 heads on board. This boat does thankfully have 2 heads on board, which has been nice for this trip. Only 1 shower though, so you may consider that. We've all had to share the same shower for the last week. Everybody's been pretty good about it though. And then here's the rear aft stateroom, and that's a queen size mattress as well. And we're moving back to the back deck here. On our aft deck, you can see our 2 bulkheads where the engines are underneath, and you've got in-deck storage. These guys are going off fishing in our tender here. Let's give them a wave. Good luck.
Thank you. Only lost 4.
And now we're gonna head up to the Flybridge and take a look at that. Right, so coming up here to the upper deck, and we have Grace reading a book and enjoying the sun. That's what the upper deck is all about, really, getting some sun and enjoying. It's also a great place to drive, which we'll take a look at the second control station in a minute. My favorite part about this boat is probably the water slide. So this is pretty awesome. You can slide down there and right off into the water. Pretty cool, fun time, and actually it has a little water nozzle there, so you have to press this little button and you get your water flowing, and it's nice and slippery, and you fly off that. Moving forward, you have your big air conditioning unit, which is also nice to place stuff on here. So we did have a little cocktail hour. We put a tablecloth there and had a nice time. You got plenty of storage up here. We've got a huge 2-person inflatable stand-up paddleboard here. And then moving over to the island, this is where all the action happens. 2 refrigerators down below. You got your sink here. It's also safe to drive up here, safe to ride up here while you're underway. You've got railings all around. So another great thing about this upper deck is that half of it is shaded and covered and the other half is exposed. So if you want to stargaze at night, you can do that from their lounge chairs on the aft deck, or if you want to drive on a hot sunny day from up here but be nice and shaded, you can hang out here. Like I said, here's your second control station. This is a great place to drive the boat from. You got full 360 views up here, so it's a little bit easier to come in and out of a harbor, a marina, or a tight space like this. Yesterday we were coming in and the wind was gusting. These things are like kites because they've got, your big flat surface, so it's really nice to be able to be up here and see all around you. Hopefully this video has given you some ideas if you're in the market for a houseboat. You know what to look at and what to think about. This is Ryan McVinney with Boat Trader. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.